At the back of these IT raids, viewers, we want to tell our viewers the latest that has come by. The Editors Guild of India has come out strongly condemning the action of the raids. On the other hand, the Press Club of India has also reacted, condemning the action. I want to cut across right now because this entire story has also turned highly political, with the opposition now stepping in and saying that the government is trying to crack down on freedom of speech and expression in Parliament and now outside trying to gag the pen. Rahul, how do you see things play out? I want to, go back to today's press conference by the BJP spokesperson, Mr. Bhatia. He might have called it a bakwas corporation, but all of that rancor could have been saved because, the BJP's official line is that they have nothing to do with it.
Pretty not just, I think the BJP spokesperson is still a smaller entity. The Home Minister of the country, Mr. Amit Shah, in an interview today, when asked about these issues, had said that he had talked about foreign propaganda, which is malicious. Then he has also said the truth emerges despite 1,000 conspiracies around it. They are after Narendra Modi, and Narendra Modi has emerged safe. So it is the Home Minister of the country, largely responsible for most of the investigative agencies per se, is very clearly saying that this is foreign propaganda and it is a conspiracy against Prime Minister Narendra Modi ongoing since 2002. So I think that should be one of the baselines to operate from. If you see over the last 2-3 years, there were raids at the Bhaskar Group, at the Bharat Samachar Group, after the coverage of COVID second wave, when there were bodies found floating in the Ganga and bodies were being dumped. So there were raids on that group. In November, we had Delhi police action against the wire. Then following the farmers' protest, there were some journalists who were apprehended and taken into custody. There is one very clear element, that there is now an emerging pattern, that there are certain news reports uncomfortable for the government, and then there is some kind of a weaponization of either the laws or the agencies. That one thing can be said. Now, as far as the BBC's raids income tax are concerned, the income tax department is saying that these are surveys and not a search. The difference is that surveys take place under Section 133 of IT Act, can be done only in the working hours, not any time. Business operations of those part of Indian arm, documents, electronic items like computers and others, international taxation transactions, TDS transactions, and all these are under scrutiny since 11 a.m. today. So one thing very clear, that BBC comes up with something uncomfortable, I think it's falling into a pattern.
It's falling into a pattern, Rahul, and I'm going to ask you a very quick question before we move on to our other story, and that is, you've elucidated the trajectory or the chronology of that pattern, but what the spokespersons have said, what the Home Minister has said, then how does one doubt the opposition, or many, even from our own ilk? We've had the Editors Guild come out and say that they condemn the action. We've had the Press Club of India come out. We've had the editors of various organizations who've been very vocal in criticizing the action, come out and say that this is, comes from vendetta.
See, Preeti, when an agency moves in for a survey, one will have to wait and see what exactly happened. The question to be raised is the timing of it. The timing of it, that what it eventually achieves. See, the BBC had a documentary in a democracy. It's been a history among governments that they feel that this is what the public shouldn't be seeing, so they resort to banning the element, Salman Khurshid's Rushdie's book and several other things in the past. The fact remains that this timing needs to be questioned. The opposition needs to take up this issue because it is one part of a larger issue that they themselves have been raising, that there is erosion of rights and institutions are being undermined. Now, media is an institution, as an entity, needs to be backed, because I think media in the last few years has been caught in a crossfire between the government and the opposition, and definitely one must say that the raids do send out a signal to the larger media that this is exactly what is likely to happen if you cross the line.
You know, you're right there. The timing is of suspect because usually every time there is a CBI raid on an opposition party or say even the Dainik Bhaskar like at the back of their reportage during COVID, the government had come out strongly and saying that, listen, we have nothing to do with it. The agencies are independent bodies and they're going about their business. The sheer fact that we've had such massive criticism by the BJP in press conferences at the back of the IT action